Aloha, my name is Anna Covert, and I'm coming to you from my battleship here on the beautiful island of Oahu. This week on the Covert Code, the topic is maximizing profits and impact, and I'm pleased to introduce Jeanne Omlor, a seven-figure coach who helps business leaders maximize results and scale. With a focus on coaching, consulting, experts, and service providers, she helps businesses create strategies that identify those diamond clients and help them get really serious about achieving their goals. Thanks so much for being here today.
Oh, it's great to be here, especially because I'm talking to somebody in Hawaii. Fantastic.
Yes. So to kick us off, can you tell us a little bit about your professional journey and what led you to focus on, coaching and all these wonderful things you do?
Well, it's funny that I sort of fell into it. I mean, I didn't fall into it. I slid into it. Um, I was doing other things and it just became like the only choice. So I was newly a solo parent in New York City and I had started a children's blog and it was quite successful, but I wasn't really making much money with it. But I thought, I really need to do something to support my children. And I thought, what can I do while I stay at home and I can't go get a job? And I thought, okay, coaching. I've always wanted to be a coach. Why don't I do that? So that's kind of what got me into it, was just practicality in a way.
Wow. Interesting.
Mm.
So what kind of background did you have?
Oh, I had a very mixed background. My initial studies were fashion design. I studied fashion design in Australia and I worked for a bit in the industry. And then I became an actress and I just was an actress for many years and I lived all over the world. I was like 8 years in Paris. I was very bohemian, very
Wow.
artistic. And I lived in Paris just kind of doing, stuff. And I taught English and I worked for a cordon bleu chef doing like food design. And then at one point, being poor was no more fun to me. It was no longer fun. So I thought I'm going to move to New York and get serious and actually get a little bit more serious about the acting. And so I did that. And while I was doing that, I accidentally got a job on Wall Street as an executive recruiter. And I was really good at it. So I had a parallel um, career with acting. And then I started making some films while I was doing that. So then from there, I took a break, got married, had a kid, and I did a little bit of consulting for Wall Street and, and started the kids blog and then the coaching.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's a very eclectic. And with that,
Hmm.
probably really great for coaching, right? So you can, relate to so many different types of people.
Exactly, because, people are creative, and I have a very sort of innate understanding of the two sides of the brain with, the creative and then the more mathematical business side. And I can sort of click in myself when I start to do painting or something. I'll think, oh, I'll feel like a click. Okay, now I'm being creative. So I think it's important for me that I can understand different personality types and different ways. It's not even personality, just ways people have been thinking and problem solving, whether it's like artistic or business and numbers.
I think that that's really, really important, and probably, it's interesting to be a coach for coaches.
Mm.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, I love it because when I'm helping the go, they're helping other people. So it's just compounded good that I'm aiding and abetting someone else, then helping somebody else. So it just feels like compounded interest on the good that I'm creating rather than something that just stops at me.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on the difference between a coach and a consultant?
Everybody asks me that. And you know what? It's really, there's like this religion of what a coach is. And there's really no there's no one answer. Because, technically people could say I'm not a coach because I actually tell my clients what to do. Hey, and they ask me, what should I do? I'm training them too. So if you're ICF certified, they always say, oh no, a coach just asks questions. You never tell. Well, then I'm not a coach. However, I don't understand that concept because football coaches definitely tell their team what to do.
Right.
They don't say to them, hey, how do you feel about going and doing that touchdown?
Exactly.
Right? So I don't really hold much store in that. My thing is, does it matter what the difference is? I know consultants go in and they say, okay, here's the recommendation and go do it, like McKinsey, like the classic. They're not going to coach anybody, right? Um, but I feel like coaches are also doing some consulting because we're also coming up with a plan, but then we're coaching on it.
Right. Totally. So talk to me about this idea of the diamond client. What does that mean?
Well, I came up with that because I realized there's all sorts of clients. There's clients that drive you crazy. There's clients that will nickel and dime you to death. They're not diamond clients. There's clients that will come in and be nice but not do the work. They're not diamond clients. So I came up with this concept about 5 years ago. And I thought, what is a really diamond in the rough? Diamond not in the rough, but diamond client. So basically, this is what I think a diamond client is. It's somebody that needs and wants your service or product and will pay for it gladly. And they see the value. That's the first part. The second is that they're easy to deal with. And, if you're coaching or consulting, they're coachable. Okay. If you're selling a product, it's somebody that's reasonable. If there's something wrong with the product, they'll say, hey, and you replace it, and they're not going to throw a Harry. Okay. And then the third part is they don't nickel and dime you to death, because that means they don't really see the value, and that it's disrespectful in a way. It's okay to negotiate, but people that nickel and dime, if there's just a point where it's like, well, this is disrespectful because you clearly don't value what I'm doing. So that's those are the three things that make up a diamond client in my mind. And that's why I created the term diamond client.
I think you're right. I was reading a book, and in there the first chapter was about ditching the duds, and just how much the time suck, and mental sucking that client can really do, because they are creating these waves of negativity, and then that's influencing you with doubt of, well, they don't see the value, or or over compensating, giving them more time than they really deserve because they don't see the value. And now that's taking away from those clients that really do deserve the attention. And even while it's hard, especially when you're building a business and you feel like every client matters, and if you lose this big one, what could happen? What you really get back is the ability to, I think, manifest and draw that right client to you.
Absolutely. Well, in my business, nobody's ever going to be neglected if I have a problem client, because we service no matter. It's not like in a family where the problem child takes all the attention of the mom. Yes, we have the help, so that's not a danger. But there is that danger of the negative, energetic influence of just dealing with. I mean, we're all human, and dealing with a painful person, it just takes a lot out of you.
Yeah, it does. Says, what's an example? I know you've worked with a lot of Fortune 500 companies and CIOs and iconic leaders. Do you have a story that you can share with us about maybe a breakthrough and that you helped them achieve with some of these strategies?
Yes, usually people don't understand that what they think they need is not really what happens sometimes. So one of my clients that owned several companies, it's usually life purpose. Okay. And he said, I really want to do this really ambitious project for a type of commune type living. Okay. And it was really, and I said, okay, let's go do this. And he was running two big companies as well. And what we got to was also, there was some stuff came up about his wife. And at the end of 6 months, even, he said, I did not realize all of this, and my life has completely changed.
Wow.
But going through what we were going through, because I realized that is not my mission to do this, building a huge project. He said, my heart's not in it. And he said, and you made me, by working with you, understand that I was just doing something for the sake of it. He said, that is not my purpose. He said, secondly, he said, you've made me realize that I am not really that supportive of my wife. She wants to be in politics. He said, she wants to be in politics. And it was like I was tolerating it. And he said, and I realized it was mere tolerating it. And he said, she really wants to go, she's running for office. And he said, I am at a point now where my relationship with my wife is never been because of you, because you made me realize that I was tolerating. Because I said to him at one point, sounds like you're tolerating her doing that. And he went, oh my goodness, you're right. And he wants to have a good relationship, and he does. But he said, I realized that mindset, letting her do it, and she had to sort of in some ways be on tenterhooks or whatever. He said it just opened up our relationship, and we started talking about it. And he goes, I'm all in. And he's really supporting his wife, with running for office. And he let go of a project. He said, my heart actually wasn't in it. And also, he said, I'm going to sell one of my companies because my heart's already not in that. So what we got to a point, he said, you've actually opened me up to a point where I'm actually thinking, what is my purpose? And that was only 6 months in. So a lot of different things happen where people are going for one thing, but then something else happens that's even better.
Yeah. I think that it's true. You know, it's just on another podcast with this another Forbes author, Chip Higgins, and he's talking about momentum, right? And how,
Mm.
you know, and the physics of it, and how if you want to, you know, create momentum, you actually have to work twice as hard, right? Or you put X amount of energy to get the momentum, right? And I think that you nailed it. It's if you don't have, if it's not the passion, it won't be
Mm.
sustainable because you need to work extra hard to get that momentum going.
Well, you need to be emotionally connected
Yes.
to what you're doing. That's all.
Yeah. So do you start off, what's your process when someone comes to you? Do you start with like a Q&A, or how do you dive in and find out what they might really not be seeing, but you see?
Okay, so I have 2 markets. I just want to really be clear on the
Okay.
podcast with people. My bread and butter business is I work with coaches and consultants, and we have 2 different programs. One is 12 weeks and one is a year, and that's a group one-on-one hybrid. Okay, so that's that. And that process is different because they come in, they got on a first call with me, they're getting on group calls, they're getting as much one-on-one as they need, actually. And it's just that's how that happens. Okay. Now with the higher end people, I don't make them do a lot of homework because people don't have a lot of time. So they get a little, but it's really because you don't want to burden high level people with another thing to do. There's certain things have to be done, but it's not like a drudgery. It's more about we're working and they're realizing as we go. But my whole thing is I don't make them do a bunch of psychological tests because, some people think the disc is the best. And, of course I've done that. And something Myers-Briggs, and then there's the this, and then there's the Colby. I mean, how many tests can you have somebody do? Right. So I'm now done a complete turnaround. I don't make them do tests because they're all don't agree with each other, all these tests. Hey,
Right.
right? And my thing now is simplicity. So really what it is getting to the core of what do you really want. And I don't mean like the first answer. It's usually not the first answer. It's deeper and deeper and deeper and working. And it's the process of what do they want. It's not like, hey, what do you want? Okay, we're going to work on that. Because as you're working with somebody, things get uncovered with this guy. His wants changed completely. And he
Yeah.
said, I feel like a free man now.
And
He
I think
said,
that you're right, you know, with the testing, and that's kind of not to kind of go back to the consultant versus coach kind of, but it's like what, you know, you feel like almost something's wrong with you, right? That you have to, like, you're psychoanalyzing and there's something that you're going to discover, right? But really it's not that. You know, we're evolving creatures, and life changes and we change, and we should change, or if we want an end result that's different than what we have now, then we have to change our personality, we have to change our feelings, and that's how we, you know, right, the law of attraction manifests these new things into our lives.
mm, yes. And it's not that simple and it's not the same for everybody.
Right.
I think the key to all of this is finding our life purpose because when we do, and it's more than one sometimes, there might be a family life purpose of, being a good mom. That's a life purpose, right? And then there might be a business one, and then there might be a spiritual one. Okay. So it's figuring out what your life purposes are, but there's usually one overriding one. But once you figure that out, it's just fueled. Your actions are fueled because you're emotionally connected. And the life purpose has to have an emotional connection of why is this your life purpose? And it's not a goal. People confuse goals with life purpose all the time. I used to too. I had a coach working with me on this and he said, still a goal, still a goal, still a goal. So it is a process to dig. Because when you say to somebody, oh, what's your life purpose? Oh, yeah, it's this. Usually it's not just a quick answer. It takes a while to come up with what your life purpose is.
Would you share your life purpose with us?
Yes, I will. My life purpose is to help as many people. I just got goosebumps when I started talking, so I know I'm emotionally connected. Is to help as many people on this earth to thrive while I'm alive.
It's beautiful. I got goosebumps too. I can
Thank
feel
you.
it. I can feel the passion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love passion. And so, you know, what do you see as one of the reasons why I guess people struggle, right, to find this purpose, and they're going through life, and are there some, key things that people, listeners can, like, tune in on and help themselves today?
Yes. First of all, we're all just living our lives and we're coping. Okay. And I mean, well, let's think about it. There are many problems people have. There's health problems, there's relationship problems, there's children problems, there's putting food on the table problems, there's money problems, there's mold problems, you know, there's work problems. There's a lot that we have to deal with. Getting enough sleep, all of that, the health, etc. Um, so we're dealing with all that. And then everything, the routine, let's not underestimate doing dishes, doing laundry, cleaning, doing all of that. Human self-care. Human beings have to fit all those things into their day and achieve, right? I've thought about that's like the framework. It's undeniable. Unless you're so wealthy, you do nothing around your house. Okay. Then that's good. That's taking the time off and you got these other things. But I mean, there should be zero blame, shame, or guilt. So I wasn't even at a point, and it's Maslow's hierarchy. People who are not making it cannot be thinking about life purpose. No, they need to get the oxygen mask on, right? So it's very hard to be thinking about life purpose when you are barely getting food on the table for your kids. Those are not people that are talking about life purpose.
That's right.
You can't. So you first have to get to a point where things are good enough that you're not in a state of complete anxiety about the day to day. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And a lot of people who are in complete anxiety about day to day, I see them trying to create this life purpose thing. And I'm like, no, 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 no. A lot of artists do that. Like, they have no money, but I want to change the world. I'm like, yeah, but you need to get to a point where you're eating every day and you're paying your rent because there's no mind space. And a lot of artistic people do that. And they're just surviving and it's about survival, but they're trying to be the life purposey person and create impact. You can't. You cannot create impact unless you're Gandhi. But Gandhi, that was a choice. Gandhi went to the best universities in England, okay? So he chose to live that way, okay?
Yes.
That's a choice. It's not any other person that's barely eating, right?
Right.
So you've got to get that clear that if you're just in survival mode, not going to be easy for you to find a life purpose and go for it because then all these things every day are going to get in your way. Make sense?
Yep.
So you want to get yourself to a point where you're not just full of anxiety because the rent's not paid every day, every month. But once you get to a point where you're good, it's like, okay, I'm not in this complete state of anxiety because we got food, we got rent, and we're good. Okay, maybe not a billionaire, but we're not worrying all the time because when you're yeah, the thing is when I was not when I was deep debt, those were my concerns. I was not thinking about life purpose. I didn't have the luxury. I was like, how am I going to take care of my kids, do the single mom hustle, put food on the table, get a client, pay the rent, blah, 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 right? And fix the car that was breaking all the time. This was it. And take care of my kids' spirituality and schooling and me and take care of, get sleep. Do you think I had any room for life purpose? I did not. No. It was just when I started making more money and I thought, okay, I'm not worried. Now is my life purpose. And then I could go a little higher up on the rung and go, okay, now I'm going to work on this. It's a luxury, right? And that's when you can start taking a little time to really delve into it. And it took me a while. Like, what is my life purpose? And he's like, still a goal. And I thought, wait a minute, what am I emotionally connected to? I'm emotionally connected to people thriving. It really rocks my boat. I really want to help people to thrive, helping the coaches, helping the high level people. I'm trying to figure out some way of just helping everybody because AI is on the way. It's here. And it's going to affect a lot of people who are going to be on universal basic income. That is no way to live. How are we going to? I don't know what that is. Maybe I'll come up with some revolutionary new idea, or maybe I'll help the unbankable get bank accounts. I don't know, but I just want to figure out ways to help more people to thrive because I've been there not thriving and it's not a good place.
No, it's not. I think, it makes me think. Recently, I've started doing some meditation, right? And I used to do it when I was in karate back when I was a child, but then stopped and always, always been someone who, a visualizer and manifester, but meditation wasn't something that I was doing, right? Until recently, in the last maybe 2 or 3 months, I've started to meditate daily and have found so much peace in that. But it's a luxury. right? Or at least it feels like a luxury, right? That when because when second you wake up in the morning and you just want to get right into all these things, this list of things
Mhm,
that you have to do, the
mhm,
take the child to school or whatnot.
mhm.
But I think what they say is true that if you're feeling stressed, you need to meditate twice as long as if you're feeling peaceful, right?
But it's even harder to do it when you're stressed.
It is so hard. Yeah,
Yeah.
but even that, like, 10 minutes of just, like, taking the time to quiet your mind and to, like, breathe, I found it to be, like, revolutionary change for
Oh, yeah. I mean, I
yeah.
should meditate every day, and sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but I do the visualization, which is kind of a meditation.
Yeah,
Mm.
it is. So, um, I guess, what do you think has been the most when you have so many things you already shared with us, what has been the most rewarding part of this journey for you?
It really has been that we've helped about 500 coaches and consultants at this point. It's just giving people tools to thrive, to giving people tools to be able to go out and it's high ticket. So to go out and get clients that are paying them thousands of dollars and they didn't know how to do that before, and and they were frustrated and now they're not, and they now have a way forward. I mean, that's life changing for me that we've helped orchestrate that, and that means something. We helped a lot of people during COVID as well. Yeah, because there was nothing but online. Because we teach online organic social media marketing, no ads. Okay. And ads don't work for coaches now. And, that and people have, been crying to me. Oh my gosh, thank you, Jeanne. I'm so grateful because we were, I was worried. What was I going to do? Blah, blah, blah. So it's just to hear that, I feel like, wow, I've done something good in my life.
Yeah. I had a similar actually, that's what prompted me to write the book that I released with Forbes last year about, digital marketing. And it was just that. I had clients crying to me on the phone, and I had to do something. For me, one of my passions is fairness. And that came out of me growing up dyslexic. And, things worked. No matter how hard I worked and work hard I did, I still struggled in school. And, as a result, I cried a lot and it wasn't fair. And that didn't change till much later in my life, thanks to the unwavering support of my mother and the computer. The keyboard opened up my world of possibility, and finally, I could read my own handwriting. I had spell check, Excel, and other tools that, like, leveled the playing field for me.
Mhm.
Technology has done that for lots of us, made our lives easier and safer and fairer. But
Mhm.
as the saying goes, technology is both a burden and a blessing, and what I've found is that these very same tools that have helped me thrive are having the exact opposite effect on millions of business owners. You know, just this year alone, there was 100 billion in digital fraud, right? And those are coming from, you brought up Facebook,
Right.
Google, Microsoft, the pillars of
Mhm.
truth, right? That are deploying bots to click on ads, inflating costs with no promise of return.
Oh, wait, you mean Facebook's doing that to
Yes, they
make
are. That's
Oh,
that's why
are
you're
they
Mhm.
are they gonna be prosecuted for this?
I mean, that's kind of part of the Google antitrust stuff as well. Right?
So
So
now
you
now
can
that makes sense.
yeah,
That
and
makes sense. So
yeah.
they've actually proven that Facebook is actually getting bots to click on your ads just to make you spend more money, and they're not
Absolutely,
working.
and there are and the
No
good
wonder they're
news
not
is
working.
right, well, and the good news is there's actually some protection that you can, I one of my favorite companies is ClickSees. They're a Tel Aviv-based company, and how I found them, it was kind of like, it was destiny. All of
Mhm,
a sudden, because I do, Google Ads, I do all this digital marketing. I'm the leader
mhm,
in digital marketing space. And all of a sudden, I started seeing 30% reduction of result across
mhm,
all these different industries, different places in the world, different this can't be there's gotta be something to it, right? Then I got served an ad saying, "Oh, 27% of all ads are fake." And I'm like, "Huh, that seems oddly aligned with what I'm experiencing." I signed up for this 14-day trial, and immediately I saw all of my accounts, start to return to these benchmarks that we had been expecting in terms of
mm.
conversion rate and bounce.
So this company gets rid of the bots.
Basically, what it is you protect your so you link your if you're running Facebook ads,
Mhm,
and you can't do the Facebook form, that's
mhm.
inside of Facebook. No
Yes.
bot protection there. So you
Got
have
it.
to do it. So if you drive traffic to the website, you put a pixel on the site, and then
Mhm,
you're protecting each campaign. And the first click you pay for, right?
mhm.
But then the software recognizes this was not in the area that you had been targeting. They
Mhm.
spun the IP somewhere,
Mm,
right? Or they clicked and then there's no movement on the page. The me
mhm.
is non-human.
Right.
And so then we block that, and bots typically use the same IP or IP range. So we can block up to 500 of an IP range, and that immediately has savings that we can quantify, right? From Google and Microsoft. Actually, Google has a direct integration with them, but Microsoft does not. And you can only block 100 negative IPs at a time. But sometimes we see, and today, and I save over $100,000 every single month in client spend.
Amazing.
Did, yeah, and that's the so it's I love that and you know socials change so much too. Just like we brought up AI, I think a lot of people fail to see is that you know the whole concept here is to build the audience, right? When social media first came out, right, the more we posted, the more we reached people. They needed that content. And right, so it was if we post 6 times a day and we were reaching reaching our followers, and things were great. But as soon as they reached the top of that adoption curve, things changed. Right now, only time your post is even seen is if you're getting engagement on it. People are watching, they're liking, they're commenting, and now it's all pay to play. Right, and the same thing is happening with AI, which is
That's where I come in. Ads just, you've just explained why, again, even more so why ads aren't working. But there is also the malaise of people that have seen the same thing over and over again. There's that. But that's where organic marketing still is working. It is still working as well as and I thought it would stop working. But the fact that ads are working less well is making the organic shine even more.
absolutely. And if you use those networks and you're doing it, you're building that audience, right? And that's what it is. That's bulletproof for the algorithm. Is how it works is based off of engagement. And if you have an active audience and they are liking your content and watching it and commenting it, that out gets shown more.
I'm going to shock you again. I can help my clients get clients. We were just talking about that today. I don't even focus on engagement. It's all about engagement. I was just saying it's not all about engagement. It's about other stuff. And I've done tests where I haven't even posted content and I've gotten clients.
So tell me more
Just by conversation. It's motivation. Meaning
or you mean you post something
on social media marketing. And most of the clients we've ever got, of course, the engagement can go. I don't worry too much about engagement because it can go up and down, blah, 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 and they can do whatever they want, but I can still get clients because what really is important is human conversation.
Yes.
I'm talking to people and the messaging of starting conversations with people. That's what works the best. And then you don't even, then you're not like counting on the engagement. Does that make sense?
So you're doing more direct messaging? Is that how people are
direct messaging with content? But we don't worry. We don't sit around going, "Oh, how did I do, Mom?" Like no matter what. And I tested LinkedIn with no content on purpose, just messaging. I'm still getting clients. They didn't even care I had no posts at all. Obviously, content does help.
You're creating that connection, right? And
Create a connection.
Yeah.
No, and the fact that I was an executive recruiter and I was an actress for many years, it's all about communication. It's about the conversation. Same way as with advertising. Remember that show Mad Men?
Yes. I had to stop watching it because it would stress me out because I'd be like, oh gosh, thinking about my own agency. But I loved it.
Well, the thing is, it's based on a real character, okay? And what was really interesting about that, it was all based around his idea, which he did talk about in the show, which was, it's all conversation. If you don't like what's being said, change the conversation. That's advertising.
I'm reading this great book right now. It's called Behavioral Science in Advertising, and it's from Nancy Hubbard. And it's about, how to use communication like you're talking about and the way that you say it and what do you show with it, right? That can make people respond without them even really thinking because we don't, it's behaviorally. And I think it's really fascinating. And I think that's one of the things where I think where AI can kind of help is to, if you know these strategies and you know who you're targeting, can you help, create that opening line or barrier or try different things faster where maybe we're so programmed to think a certain way that it's hard for us to spin the dialogue. Have you used are you using AI at all or you guys are all?
I think AI is great AI is fantastic for research. It's fantastic to rewrite content that you've already written to get another version of it, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to go in and do another swipe, right? So the good thing is a lot of the AI stuff you can kind of see it's AI, right? So I think it's good as far as drafts go. As far as I like to be. I mean, it's there. We might as well use it. And I think that you can't beat them, join them, right? But no, we don't. I come up with the messages. I don't. Every now and then I'll say, hey, let's put it through Chat GPT and see what they say. But generally, it sounds pretty spammy. And some of the advice that Chat GPT and Claude have given me are like really bad. But like marketing advice, I'm like, there's such bad marketing advice. It's like the standard Google marketing advice that you would ask Google, right? And I'm like,
Right. I think they pop up those like the top 5 ways to do
go
blah, blah,
do
blah.
this and build your email list. I'm like, so it's good though, because it makes me realize, we still do need humans.
Yes,
Yeah.
we do. We definitely do. So, looking ahead, what excites you most about the future of coaching, consulting, and what trends people be paying attention to?
AI and I'm always looking for ways to have AI get me more like I'm thinking about how AI can get me a more global reach. Okay. I'm actually doing some research on that. And I'm in a really big AI, sort of more kind of elite AI future group. So there's that. It will affect it, but I don't know how we're gonna. I don't know how. I'm always thinking, how is this going to affect us, and how can we adapt? But quite frankly, not many people are going to really want to talk to a robot. Okay. And you could do a cool thing where I could do a Jeanne bot where it's me in the head and all that. I know how to do that. If I wanted, I could hire and get somebody to do that. But it would have to be like an add-on. It would be like, okay, after hours, just ask Jeanne bot. But there's still people need to speak to a human being, right? Nobody really just wants to deal with bots, right?
No.
But there's some ways like that's a cool idea. I just told you, a Jeanne bot, like
Well, in the metaverse, they could come visit, Jean Bart.
yeah, sure. You know what? But you can just put it on a website and there's like a head and hey, Jean, tell me this, and we can feed all my information into it and all the sessions we've ever done. Just feed it all in. And there's certain ones where you can even feed videos in and it will just analyze it all, right? It's getting better. And then it's like, hey, you have a question after hours, ask the bot. Then of course we're still doing art. So it can be like an add-on, right?
Yeah.
So things like that are cool. Do I need it right now? Probably not. It's a gimmick, but some people, I might do that just for fun to be ahead of the curve. Yeah, people are already doing that, but this whole thing of yes, I know there are bot coaches already. Okay, but I don't know anybody that want to have a bot coach. They want a human being,
Well,
right?
and then those examples that we've been reading about with have been giving some really shady. One of these what's the word I'm looking for? It was like a psychiatrist bot, and it gave some really bad, like told someone that they should jump off the cliff.
It's horrible.
I mean, these really scary things, and
Yeah, you have to be very careful if you're a psychologist because they could get sued,
I
right?
was horrified. Technology for all of your is there any proprietary software, or like when people sign up to be is there any kind of tools that you're helping them with?
I have a CRM that I have fashioned to be more for coaches because there were none that were specifically for coaches. It's called Genius Client System because people do struggle with tech. And what I've done is I have added a human being to that. We have a tech coach that people can get on a call with, a Zoom call whenever they want, included with the CRM because people struggle. It's great to go buy stuff, but if you don't know how to use it, then you're just going to be frustrated. So I added the tech coach that people can book calls and they can build their website in there and
Does it go high level based?
Sorry?
Does it go high level based?
It is go high level based.
That's my favorite. I do a lot of
And better because we added feminine themes, we added coachy themes. I added like 65,000 pieces of content. We added a training site within it of how to use it because go high level doesn't have a lot of training. And then I hired. So we've made it better for coaches. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm a big fan of Go High Level, and just the fairness of the platform as well. And you pay for what you use, and you're not being gated or
Exactly.
and
That's a good company.
yeah.
Yeah. And they're also going to be competing with schools soon. I don't know if you know that.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, they're going to start their own kind of like school type thing. So, what's his name's going to have a run for his money.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So do you it sounds like have you thought of writing a book?
It's so funny. Do you know how many times people, if I had $1 for every time somebody, not a penny, but if I had $10 for every time somebody asked me, I'd be a billionaire. You know what? I've never been, I don't want to just write a book. And to me, if I'm not going to write a book that has something different to say, then why add to the noise just because I don't really have that burning ambition to have my name on a cover because I kind of don't care about fame. Like I know some people are dying to get their name on a book but so many people are writing books and now with AI everybody's going to write a book. So for me to write a book it would have to be like an elongated ebook on marketing where it's not that serious, or it would have to be an actual serious book where I feel like I'm saying something different or I'm changing, or I'm changing the conversation or, the fact that it has a bit of my life story makes it a bit different, of course. But, I read a lot and I do a lot of Audible. And quite frankly, I don't know if I have anything new to say. There's so much out there, you know. But I mean, you know what I mean. So it's like, why? Because I want a lead gen? I don't know. I don't do things just because I need a lead gen thing, like I'd have to have a real, I'd have to have a real purpose with that to make me finish the book. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And also, it takes away from what you're doing already.
It's definitely on brand for what I'm hearing.
It takes time,
It sure does. Yeah, I'm working on my second one about the solar industry, and yeah, for me, it was right there with you. Like it had to be so much knowledge that needed to be shared, the know what they're
Yes.
sharing, that I was like, okay, like I have to do this because
That's different. You
I
are
have to.
compelled.
Yeah,
I am not
yeah,
feeling compelled. And one day, if I do, sure, I'll write the book or I'll get a ghostwriter to help me.
yeah. Well, if you need a great ghostwriter, I wrote my own book, but I know my book
Mm.
coach was amazing, and she's helped lots of people write
Mhm.
their books. So if you ever change your mind and you feel the bug, let me know. And then you got to come back on the podcast and tell us all about it.
Sure. I just, again, and I know nobody talks like this, but I do. Do I really want to put a banal book out there just because I want my name on a book? And nobody talks about that. It's like, oh, you have to write a book. And I think we got to be real that if it's not a book that is actually adding to the conversation in a different way, where it's not the same book. And, a lot of people do a lot of research and they're researching all the different books and then they're doing an amalgam of, whatever. Now, a book that I could write would be a book on other people's stories. Get it? Let's Soup for the Soul. Was that
Yep.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was about other people. Now that I could get behind because it's not about me. I don't think I'm that
Or even, I
important.
mean, I'm just looking at your background, and I had a thought like a children's books about purpose and some of these things. You got taking care of yourself and like the Maslow hierarchy of need and kind of things like that. Because I think it really starts me. You said you're a parent, and my daughter's 10 and a half, and I always think about how can I create this experience for her, right? Then she, just like my mom did for me, that like I could be anything that I wanted to be. And I didn't have to be afraid that like, I couldn't read out loud or, these other things that were kind of it could have gone very differently for me. Right. But I had that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I could do that. But, when you said that, I thought, oh, like, and I thought, oh, okay. So, and that's the thing. And I think it needs to be said instead of just all the, you got to write a book. And we hear this all the time. You got to write a book. You got to have a podcast. Well, I do have a podcast, but I took a long time to figure out why do I want the podcast? What is this about? And am I passionate? So I did, and it's easy to do. Of course, I have help with it, but it's not a drudgery. It just gets done. It's not painful. I love it, and I'm like, great, that was really good because that's the pod, because I'm just fit it in. Now, of
Yeah.
course, I have a podcast manager and I have podcast producers, and I just do it. But it did take some work getting it up. But I thought I'm not going to do a podcast unless it's about like what I'm passionate. It's called Business, Wealth, Impact. 3 things I'm passionate about. It wasn't coach the world and let's just get a bunch of coaches. Now I should actually do one called Coach the World, but
That was pretty cool.
will I be all in? I might. I have to think about that. It's a lot of work to do another podcast. I've been thinking about that. I thought, do I need a second podcast? It could be really helpful because people just can hear a bunch of coaches helping coach on the show. Could be really an amazing podcast.
Yeah.
But do I want to do another podcast? I don't know. I have to think about that. But I think we have to always think it's going to be a lot of work.
Yes.
You have to be all in before you start a podcast and before you start writing a book, because then you got to write it. And then once it's written, you've got to publish it yourself, probably.
It's a
And
lot of work. You were
yeah,
100%
or give it
right.
away for free. And then it's like you got a bunch of books and you wrote a book and it's like, hey, I have a book too. Me too. So, like I think it's helpful that people hear that somebody like me hasn't written a book.
Yeah.
And great if you have, God bless you. But I'm not writing a book unless it's like, okay, this is something different. And it doesn't have to be the best book in the whole world, but just have to be not like every other book out there. That's
Of
all.
course. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I've been really enjoying meeting new people through my podcast. So thanks so much for taking the time to share with my listeners your passion. And I think we learned a lot today about, what you do and how you help others. So I really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Thanks, Anna. And by the way, what was the name of that thing that you got that helped avoid the bots?
I will send you a link. So it's called ClickCease. So I have an affiliate link and we're doing donations for Maui with our affiliate
Oh.
credits. So I'll send you my link and try out and let me know what you think about it. And you should see immediate results in 7 days.
If I'm running ads, which I'm not.
You're right.
I used that. I would get it to. I actually wanted to give to other people that
Yeah.
don't want it.
No, you should. You should.
Perfect.
Great.
Well,
To
also,
learn more about Jeanne, you can visit her website or find her on LinkedIn. And I guess tune into the podcast. So when is your podcast?
when is it?
Yeah.
We drop 2 a week.
2 week.
Yeah. Yes. So it's all the time.
The time. All right. Well, I'll definitely tune in and appreciate you being here. And to all my listeners, please join me next week as I interview another industry expert on a topic to help you succeed on and offline. I'll see you in the pixels. Aloha.